Hello, Blue Jay fans and alums. We, believe it or not, are on season 2 and episode 1 of the We Want More Vodcast.
Winds up big scores another one for Hopkins.
The test was just called it right, and there, shot the goal right out in front. The Blue Jays
does not wear a brace. Never has shown any adverse effects. Harrison with it. Big shot. Scores! Kyle Harrison goes high. That's it. It's over. Johns Hopkins has won its ninth national championship.
Pete, good morning. Happy first day of fall. Greetings to you at Homewood and the Cordes Center. How are things going?
Great. Thanks for asking. Excited to be here. Good to see your face again.
Yep.
Off and running.
Well, the crisp, cool weather's coming. We thought it would be a fantastic idea to just sort of touch base in this podcast, once during fall season, just to touch base to see how things are going with the team, fall practice, your transfers, your recruits, even your fall schedule. And tell us, how are things going so far as the students have moved back to campus and you've, proceeded with lacrosse?
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, we're well into it now. We're a month into the semester. The new guys are acclimated. They're more, feet are more than wet, and now they're in the mix, starting to settle into classroom routines and the workout schedules and practice. We just started our first day of full 20-hour week practices for a fall segment. So that just started on Monday, and trying to build in systems and teach the fundamentals, what we're working on, what we're focusing on throughout this fall, and looking forward to a few weeks of competition coming up.
Good. Pete, we're going to have a little fun with this, as always. You know me. I think a lot of our older alums will reflect fondly on their fall ball experience. It's different this day, this day and age. I feel like we moved back to campus, had 2 or 3 weeks to sort of get acclimated to school, even a little bit of the social scene. And then we sort of went into fall ball early October, practice in the afternoons on Garland Field. Now we have the facilities for all this and extra turf fields. Tell us a little bit about the schedule of fall now. Like, when did the student athletes come back? When do you start? When do you have practice?
Sure. So we got back the end of August, third week in August, and we started just the last few days of August with our workout program, team meetings. Started basically at the beginning of September with practices just a few times a week, a couple 1-hour practices, and then 3 lifts a week. And so that went on for 3-4 weeks so that we could get guys acclimated to the schedule and to classrooms and the day-to-day life here. And then now we're in our 20-hour practice segment, so we go 4 or 5 days a week with practice, and then still 2-3 lifts a week, as we have a few weeks, about 5 weeks here of actual real in-season environment and contests on the weekends.
Right.
Right now we're practicing in the mornings, either 7:30, 8:30, depending on the day. We have most of the guys are free until 9:30 or 10 for classes, so we can get into that window of time. We bounce back and forth. Some days we're on Homewood, some days we're on the practice field out back, and then depending on what Coach Steiner has in store for them with the workout, we either stay outside and push some sleds or do some agilities and conditioning. The other day you had them running up and down University Avenue. Some days they're right into the weight room and pumping iron. So just trying to build in whatever we need for that week to get better.
Yeah. As an older gentleman here, it's interesting. Social media shows you so much, and you guys do such a great job of showing the commitment of the players in lifts and when I did see the video or the Instagram post of the running test. Sometimes they bring back nightmares, sometimes they bring back funny memories, but it really is amazing to see how hard the team is working, but compared to the way it was for us back in the day, and it's just really impressive.
It's a lot, trying overemphasize it for them because it should be a standard. I think they should just understand that this comes with the territory, comes with responsibility here. You got to buy in. It's, a lot of the day-to-days is emphasizing our focus and how supportive we're being of each other when each other is going through some tough times, and how well we can dig in and find that next gear. But getting here and ready to go and that buy-in, I mean, that's that comes with the uniform. So they've got to understand that these are requirements that we're expecting everybody to live up to. And I think that's what they enjoy most is the challenge of doing things together, doing hard things, doing them consistently. And they talk about it a lot. And I think that's where the camaraderie really builds is the conditioning test or running up and down university or getting your butt kicked to different ways and realizing that you gotta bond together and you gotta pick each other up and you gotta get back out there and go again.
Understood. And when technically does the fall season conclude for you guys?
So we'll have basically through October, the last weekend of October will essentially be the end of fall season. So next weekend we have alumni weekend. So we'll have an alumni scrimmage on Saturday. Was surrounded by all the festivities of the weekend, the golf tournament and tent party and things like that. The weekend after we will be off because it's fall break, but we're going to head up to New York City that week, the 17th on a Thursday. Sorry, I skipped a week. After alumni weekend is Headstrong on the 13th. So we're going to host a scrimmage here on campus. The women are playing in the morning. We're going to play in the afternoon. Play Air Force for a contest, and then about a half against New Jersey Tech, and that'll be the end of that Sunday, the 13th, and then the next week is the networking trip in New York. That's on October 17th, and then we have that weekend off, so they're training on their own because it's fall break, and then we come back in the last weekend, the 26th. We will play Delaware at home. That is on Saturday at 3 p.m.
Great. So we encourage a lot of folks to get out there and support the team for these fall games. Pete, as you mentioned, Alumni Weekend is the 4th, 5th, and 6th of October. Golf outing on that Friday. Alumni game that Saturday. Again, we encourage guys to come out, even if you're not playing, hang out on the sidelines, catch up with old friends, get a chance to see the team. So highly encourage that. Pete, question for you, since you brought up the networking trip in New York, who is leading that? And is there a way for alums to reach out to people who may want to be involved or engaged or participate?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have a panel of folks that work with the mentorship program, the industry side, and then the networking trip. We're coordinating a lot of it here on campus with the BJU office and Steph Littleton. And then specifically John Ranigan is kind of our home base in New York, just to help us coordinate, office visits and who's available for discussions and things like that. So I think we just secured a space for the afternoon panel discussions, morning office visits, pretty close to getting set with who's going where and what we're doing. Should have some interesting things, but getting guys a chance to split up, try some visits in different industries, and then the afternoon we get together and a little bit of workshopping and panel discussions before a little reception in the evening. So Randy is kind of the point person there for that.
Yeah. So people could participate in the reception at the end of the day.
For sure. Yeah. I think everybody's going to be invited to that if they wanted to.
So you can reach out to Steph Littleton in the athletic office or John Ranigan, one of our fellow Blue Jays, which is great that he's doing this and participating. Mm-hmm. All right. So Pete, let's get back to the field. How are your transfers doing?
Great. Yeah. All 5 transfers are college grads, so they show up with a good bit of experience under their belts and knowing where they are. John McKee's in the face-off mix. He's recovering from an off-season surgery, so he's not full go yet, but he's out there working with the group and doing drills. Kobe Weishar is short stick, long stick, got options at both. He transferred from UMBC. Luke Stout right into the goalie mix. Obviously, he's a multi-year starter at Loyola. So he's competing with those guys and really elevating the play on that side. I think there's a handful of guys that are really doing a great job, but it's going to be a tough nut to win for sure. So we're going to be keeping our eyes on that one this fall. And then the 2 midfielders from Yale, Patrick Hackler and Jack Montfort, both have a ton of game experience. Know understand systems. Obviously, they're learning ours, but high compete level, motor, athleticism, and experience. So all
Right.
really factoring in well.
While new to Hopkins, they're not new to the college game. So I imagine there is some leadership characteristics that are brought with those 5.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Just having the voices there, just having the experience of, being in some tough situations before, playing in big games, that always factors in with those guys. And, they're all going to be competing for time. I think, Jack and Patrick are really going to help in a group of short sticks that, we graduated a lot of minutes, a lot of experience. So, their veteran presence is really, really important.
Right. Well, you as a former Gettysburg Bullet, we had a son that played at F&M. I'm a big fan of John McKee's. For those of you who don't know, he comes to us from Dickinson prior to the Centennial Conference. And, you're seeing that in this game. You're seeing a lot of, D3 players who are stepping over to the D1 level and competing and thriving. So all of our best to John. And we have Scott Smith back. So Scott
Correct.
Smith returned. Okay.
Yes.
Good. And I mean,
he's noticeable. You'll find him when you get to the field.
Yes. So come out and watch Scott. We're glad because we know he brings just an aggressive, full throttle, full pressure nature to the game, and we love his leadership.
He's a first-team All-American, so you bring that type of a defender back.
Yeah, it's always good to have a first-team All-American back.
It's a big impact, yeah.
Yeah. And Coach, I counted on the roster. I think it's about 58 players for now. You have 11 freshmen, right? So 11. What's really fascinating to me about these 11 freshmen is they come from all over.
Mm-hmm.
I think you may have 2 Long Island guys, but there's California, there's New Jersey, there's Ontario, there's DC, there's upstate New York. Really a dichotomous, diverse group of freshmen. Talk a little bit about them.
I mean, they are spread pretty wide where they're from. A few guys from out west, California. It's a pretty good balance, I think, overall. 4 offensive guys, a couple short sticks, face off, goalie. I mean, it's pretty balanced. 3 long poles. So, from that standpoint, I think there's a lot of opportunity all across the field. Those guys digging in and seeing where they shake out this year. We did graduate a very experienced group last year, but bringing a few of them back this year with Ryan Evans, Pat Deans, Russell, Dylan Bauer. We have a few more. So with the addition of the grad transfers, there are actually 11 guys in that extra year, 5th, 6th year window of time. So it's going to continue to put a challenge in front of the freshmen, the younger guys, to see if they can get themselves in that mix pretty quickly. But it's going to be a challenge. There's this year with having that we're calling 4 pluses basically, but the 5th and 6th year guys, there's 11 of them. I mean, that's like 5 classes of kids on the team. So 58's big, and it's been around that for the last few years. I think this is the last year we're going to expect to see that many guys on the roster, because I think only 11 of them are going to be graduating at the end of this year. So, excited for some of these young bucks. They're good. There's some really good ability in there. Joey Holbut's competing really hard in the face-off. Andrew Cook is a goalie, All-American from California. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him here. A few of those defensemen, Reese DeCiccio from Lawrenceville is a short stick that's fitting right into the mix. They're competing. Tyler Eyes, a long stick midfielder from Lawrenceville, doing well. And a few of the guys on the offensive end, I think Kieran McCleary was All-American here in the senior All-Star game at Homewood this summer. Shows a lot of ability in the middle of the field. Sean Krogan doing a good job there as well. Got a good head on his shoulders, makes good decisions, quick, and gets the ball moving. So a lot of guys there that are showing some promise.
Great. I wanted to mention. See here. I'm sorry. The Kasner boy.
Yeah, Graham Kasner.
Graham Kasner. So it's just for our Blue Jay listeners out there. That's a Kasner. That's a Blue Jay Kasner. There's a long line of Blue Jays who have the Kasner name. young and old. So the Kastner legacy continues, which is a cool thing in the realm of Hopkins tradition. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him.
I didn't get a chance to know his older family members, but he is as hard of a worker as I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
He is obsessive, so he's getting after it, and I would imagine making the family proud. Just
Definitely.
with that intensity.
Yeah, it's really great. When we talk about all the legacies that we have here at Johns Hopkins. Hey, everyone healthy? You mentioned, Johnny Key healing injury, but everyone's been healthy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple lingering from last year. Alec Billings had an ACL at the end of last season on the practice field. And a couple other guys had in-season surgeries, Brooks English, Charlie Eiler. They're working their way back. Brooks is back on the field. He's pretty close to full go. I mean, he's doing live drills, and it's nice to see him running around again. He's quick. So he's out on the field doing good things. The top group is healthy. Few of the other guys somewhere in that mix of on their way back and recovering from stuff. But overall, I think we look pretty healthy right now. But it's beginning of the year.
Sure. Pete, just a few more questions for you. This is really for our edification, the viewers, of the alums, the fans. What is the actual rule on fall practice? Is it hours together? Yeah. You're given so many days. How does it work?
So you're given 20 hours a week, which is basically the same as the spring, only for a few weeks. So you have to pick where you're going to do those. If you start that like right when you get back, you'll be out of them by the middle of October, even early October. So we usually wait until the last week of September, where we just started it today, and then we go for 5 weeks, and that's our 20 hours a week. Again, it feels pretty similar to a normal week of practice. Outside of that, you get 8 hours, and that's for everything from lacrosse practice to strength conditioning to anything else that you want to do team meetings. So 8 hours, you just split that up over the course of your week. So you don't get a ton of lacrosse in. You get an hour and a half, 2 hours a week. You can do more, but you're just going to have less team lifts and team workouts and stuff like that. Right. So there's still some voluntary time that they can come in and do individual meetings and get out in small groups on their own. They still have some captains led events, but basically from the time we get to campus until this week, we're just in that smaller window of time, and sometimes it even benefits us to just break up into smaller groups. Instead of having a full team practice for an hour, we can break up into small groups, coach the offense in 2 or 3 different groups, and train them on things. Take the goalies out separately because they're not going to get a lot of live shots in a week if we're not going to be on the field that much. So we can just do drilling with them, stuff like that.
Okay, great. And my next question has to do with the news that came out maybe a month, 2 months ago, this whole notion of scholarships and more scholarships and size of teams. Could you just give us a layman's explanation of how that all works and how it affects Johns Hopkins?
Sure. It's a lawsuit that was before it ultimately got denied in the first run through, and so that I think they're going to try and rewrite it and put a different version of it forward. It's just proposing that the NCAA is going to back out more legislation from what there currently is in college sports, allowing scholarship limits to be up to each individual university, whatever they want to, but there's no limit. Finding a way to police that, I guess, would require that there's at least a scholarship limit, so that you couldn't have 500 kids on a football team on full scholarship because you have more resources. There's a few other little nuances in it that are going to take a little while till we know the answers to. Roster limits is a challenge. I think right now we would be over that with 58 guys, but if we didn't have a fifth class of guys, we'd be at 47. So I think we'd be fine within that. I think having 48, 50 guys on your roster is normal, so I don't think that's a challenge. Allowing unlimited scholarships is a big challenge financially. So that would require some fundraising efforts. And I think there's some other stuff in there about trying to curb the NIL issues that have really exploded in the last few years, of allowing the universities to basically run that stuff. And so again, there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's like we're not going to know until the first, the first domino falls would have to be, the lawsuit going through and then starting to set some rules in place and then knowing how do you manage roster limits? How do you, what is determined and a rostered member, if the kid's out for the year, does he still count? Or how do you do all those things? So there's a lot that we don't know yet. And so we're trying not to jump the gun and assume too much. Just take what we have in front of us that we are required to deal with, keeping a plan built for what could be coming and how we would react to that. But it's all stuff that's, at least a year away. And even then there's just so much that's still unanswered. But I will say that there's a great position for Johns Hopkins in this landscape to take advantage of some opportunities if they are presented. So we'll, I'll leave it at that without knowing specifically what those are going to be.
Okay, Pete, also the 2025 season and schedule still in play. I mean, that really gets formalized by December.
Yeah, right. I think we've finalized the game schedule that we are planning on. It has to then go off to the TV folks and goes to ESPN and the Big Ten Network, and then they start messing around with game times and sometimes switching days so they can get you on live TV. And then once we get those things finalized, we'll send that out. But I can say that there's no difference in our opponents from last year to this year. So you can imagine the same schedule that we had last year. Flip your locations home and away. For the most part, it's the same thing.
Good. All right. So wrapping up, we just need to ask two fun questions. Go. Strength and conditioning. Give us the beast on the team at lifting.
The beast on the team at lifting. I mean, there's a few of them. On the defensive side, there's a handful of them. Scotty is always up there. Mikey Trepida does a really good job in the weight room. Bracken Bowler is a senior, does a really good job in the weight room. I know I'm going to be missing some.
Trepida has a Gold's Gym on Long Island. I think he's a big Gold's Gym guy.
He loves, as long as you can wear a gold chain in there, he's all about it.
I know. You knew where I was going with that.
Yeah. Freshman Liam Burke has been pretty impressive there. I'm trying to think of who else. That's a pretty good group right there.
Yeah. How's my boy Nick Lane?
Nick Lane, he's great.
He's good at the squat. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
legs like this.
He's awesome, man. Yeah. He's awesome. He's working hard. He's got a lot of leadership capabilities. A lot of he's got the charisma. Guys respect him. He works his butt off, so he does a great job.
Yeah. And he's wicked smart. All right. So the next question: running. Who are your runners on the team in terms of endurance? Who's still thriving after 10 who's kicking butt?
That's a good question. From the older guys, who did we have the other day? I want to say it was. I'm trying not like identify the people that I was excited to see, but like trying to figure out who was in front. I know some of the returners did really well, Dylan and Russell on that end of the field.
I would think Dylan, being from the high altitude of Utah, would be a good runner.
Some of the other guys, Carson and Patrick Deans. We're used to just seeing Marcelo as like the first guy out there and just kind of setting the pace. So it's a little bit different. But a few of the younger guys, Grammy Kastner actually did really well. He's just got maybe it's a pain tolerance, I don't know, but he's got an endurance there for sure.
Yeah.
Kieran McCleary can run. There was a few in there. Eric McDonald has been fighting. He's gonna be competing hard for a spot there. So some good guy, good group.
Good. I mean, I have funny stories, not even from my era, but I mean, I remember the '70s guys talked about Richie Hirsch All-American attackman. When they used to do loops around San Martin Drive, whatever, he would kind of sit on a bus bench after the first lap and then pick up at the second lap.
I don't know if we have anybody.
The other thing I want to just reflect on quickly is in the old days, we used to do fall practice on Garland Quad. The quad's different now. It's more of an ellipse, but imagine it was just a big grass field, little knotty, little muddy. We used to have our fall practices there. That's where they put lacrosse in the fall because all the fall sports were up at Homewood Field.
That's well.
We used to have a snow fence that would block all the cars at one end of the field. And, we would just spend shooting practice trying to either snap the snow fence or take out headlights from some faculty member's car that was parked out there. Those are our reflections. That's for another podcast, but those are our reflections of fall ball. But
we're still working off some of that reputation then.
Yeah, it's good to see that the game has evolved to be more intense and more serious. So we give you a shout out for that. Pete, thanks for the time. Once again, Alumni Weekend, October 4th, 5th, 6th. You're going to be playing at the Headstrong, I guess, the following weekend on the 12th, and you'll be playing New Jersey Institute of Technology as well as Air Force. You have the networking event.
It's on the 13th. The 13th is a Sunday, and that's at Homewood.
Thank you.
Yep. Networking is on the 17th.
You'll close with Delaware. Yeah, you'll close.
Yeah, Delaware's on the 26th.
Okay, great. Hey, good luck this fall. Thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
All
Thanks
right,
for having me on here.
Yeah, stick 'em Jays.